Back.
Is it already recording?
Oh, it's been recording for the last 12 minutes and 8 seconds.
Word.
But
I like
our
that.
people are not going to get any of that nonsense.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of, well.
My head is spinning right now with what did I say? Was it a pro? No, just kidding.
I'm going to have a special cut that I just sent to your elders, and it's going to be all the stuff that I captured you saying on tape.
Yeah, boy. We get to pick on Brent much this week.
I know. This is so good.
Did he preach at your church?
Whatever,
He preached at my church.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you preach at your church too?
I did, but it was better than what I preached at your church.
Multi-campus celebrity over here. Jeez. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, welcome to episode 3 of our Advent podcast. Sitting here with Brent from Harvest Church. I'm Bert from Anthem, and we got Steve from Arise. This has been fun. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're 3 episodes into this.
Yeah.
We're not slowing down because people have been loving it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you're not telling us, so we just get positive feedback.
That's
echo
all
chamber,
we're getting, exactly.
And this has been awesome.
We still don't know what it is.
We still don't know what this is, but I like it.
I do too.
This is so good.
We should call it, empty and void, right? Like from Genesis. Just that's what it is.
Oh my.
Tovu babohu, I
There
think
it is.
is the
There
Hebrew.
it is.
All right.
So,
Someone had to nerd it up in the first minute.
Hey, you know
here.
what? Last time he
Say it.
spoke in tongues on the podcast, and I didn't say anything.
Oh my
and then
gosh,
this time
yeah.
he just did it again, and I'm like, man, you got to get an interpreter. Get it
No,
together.
I think the first episode you spoke Spanish, and I was like, what is that, Latin? And yeah, so I'm not the language guy here.
Too funny.
All right, what is this? What are we doing here? We're sitting around the table because we're doing a shared Advent series together. So we're teaching through kind of some similar themes, some similar topics, and it's teeing off in what is this Sunday?
Yeah.
Kind of the climax, right? Which is the final week of our Advent series where we're live, we're in person, we're outside, and we're all together celebrating the birth of Jesus. And what we've been doing in between those Sundays, we started with the intro week, and we've been kind of going after the fact of just doing a little post-mortem on the teachings, talking about how our people are receiving it, maybe some extra ways to apply this or to wrestle with it, talking about some of the things we're leaving off, and seeing where we are together and where we're differing and the fun that is and all of that. But this was kind of a unique week, Brent, because you were preaching at all 3 of our churches.
Right, which wasn't the plan.
No, it wasn't the plan. But I like how it snowballed into the plan.
It worked out great.
It kind of became the plan on the last episode where
Yeah.
you're like, Steve's like, maybe I should have you. And then there you go.
When you say things when we're recording, it has a tendency to come back and bite you in the butt.
That's right.
All right. So what happened was we did this kind of teaching prep day.
Right.
And Brent, we kind of all divided and conquered. And so your job was to kind of take week 2, flesh it out a little bit. And so we were talking about it here. And then I've been sort of bugging you about
months ago. A month ago.
Oh yeah, this is a while ago. And then more recently, I'm like, I should just have Brent teach. This would be great. And we're doing kind of with our format, it's really easy to have in friends and guest teachers. And so you came in and recorded the Wednesday before, which was the day before we actually recorded the podcast, right? So you came in and recorded, and then Steve's sitting here on the podcast going like, oh, geez, we should just use this video. So you ended up doing live at your church.
Right.
And then you were in backyards and in a Zoom room for our church. And then you guys were in a big Zoom room together, right?
Yeah.
You were everywhere, Brent.
Yeah, that's weird. And all 3 different formats.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just completely different. And thankful to, hey, the gospel is travel size. So it can go anywhere through media, through whatever. So that was fun. It was interesting to me how what was planned at the beginning was not ended up what happened on many levels. Like what we had on the notes that we collaborated on a month ago. It was the same text and the same direction. Yeah. But just kind of different. And then so when I preached it for you guys on Wednesday, I got the opportunity to soak in it and prep, just kind of tailor things for my
Tell
congregation
the people that you
a little bit
changed
more.
it.
Well, no. I actually think it would be fun. Like take us in that process. So whatever this was, September, October, we had a day to prep. You were in charge of week 2.
I was in charge of week 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So you record on Wednesday. So I come in Monday's day off. Tuesday, I sit a lot of administrative work, but I'm usually just barely opening the text.
Not answering your emails.
Or text messages. I'm just on social media the whole day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just
living it up on TikTok and
TikTok. So opened up what we had made a month ago and opened up the text and kind of reworked what we made a month ago as far as outline and what I thought something that was more consistent and accurate as to the Paul's intent in the text in Romans, and just still using it as a great jumping off point for hope. So I think that
was really good pastoral code for you didn't like what you wrote, so you changed it.
Accurate. Now, normally, for me, this happens on Saturday night, Sunday morning at like 2 a.m.
That's all right.
That seems so stressful.
But now it's like, for you, it was Tuesday, and I'm like, what on earth? Yeah. So that was a fascinating process, but then I really enjoyed, sitting in it.
Yeah.
And just letting the passage have its way with me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
and direct it. And not that the outline was the same.
Yeah,
for our people on Sunday. I think the application was more pointed to, especially our people, knowing them as their shepherd better.
Sure,
and more application. That was more direct, which is, I think, what we were originally going for.
Yeah, that was the hope. Yeah. No pun intended.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So you went Tuesday prep, kind of going like, okay, this outline needs a bit of work.
Right.
Into Wednesday night recording.
Right.
And having some feel for, okay, this is where we're headed.
Right.
But then you still had another 4 days to sit with it. And then for it to land with your people because you know them so much better than you know our people.
Right.
But also you just sitting with it for a little while longer. So it's rummaging around your mind. It's rolling around.
Right. Because it's a difficult concept in general.
Sure.
Right? Suffering and hope. Yeah. Most people don't think those two things are related.
Yeah.
But scripturally, I mean, you just can't get away from
That's
it.
Right. That's right.
And so having our people think correctly about the relationship between suffering and hope,
that's good.
It is so essential and important, and it's also brand new for everyone. I would assume it's all three churches. It's a kind of a new concept.
Yeah, it's paradigm shift, right? And that is what the refocus is all about.
Right.
I think that really the last 2 weeks, Romans 5, Romans 8, and even where we'll go this week is really we want all of our people to see 2020, see their responses and reactions, see their disappointments, and then to look over at what true hope is and to say, God's not going to put us to shame. God's not going to disappoint us. Right. And we should, recalibrate things. Right. So when I say paradigm shift, I'm just saying we've had a perspective and it's completely been frustrated this year.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a good reminder to us, especially, as just westernized, American, comfortable Christians.
Sure.
Right.
Like, let's just be 100% honest.
Right.
This may not be a necessary message to the persecuted and or underground church in other places. But for us, I feel like it's a wake-up call.
Sure.
So marrying suffering with hope in the way in which the Bible presents it to us in the first place is what we all need.
Yeah. And I think that's the clarity that came eventually.
That's good. Yeah.
Suffering doesn't destroy hope. Suffering increases.
That's right. That's right.
Totally.
How amazing that the gospel does that.
That's good.
Because that's not possible anywhere else.
Yep.
Well, and the unique thing is that's just not true about any of the other things we put our hope in either.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
you get a new car, you put your hope in that new car or whatever, like suffering happens. You're not going, oh, well, let's have that new car.
The scratch.
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
Scratch, right?
Wow.
Right.
No, but that's like unique.
It's making it better.
But that's the unique thing is suffering makes the hope we have in the gospel better though. And that's like one of those things that sets it apart.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So needed, right, for American Christians this year.
Yep.
So that kind of clarity came and was so helpful for my heart, and be able to say it concisely and powerfully because it's such a needed message right now.
That's good.
It's fun.
Yeah,
that's good.
Totally.
So, any thoughts from you guys?
Well, I was going to ask. Well, no, you preached at our church. So anyway, I was going to ask you what changed, right? So if you say more application or more specifics, really what we wanted to do in this podcast episode, if you would, was to give some practical, here's how you can help your hope grow, right?
Sure,
or how you can grow in your hope. So if you already have a couple of those that you brought to your people and then we can talk about, some
right.
of that.
No, that'd be good. And just to transition into that. So I would say the sermon didn't change. It just sharpened at that application point. So instead of being generic about this is what we do with hope, this is how we lose it, it was fun to be able to point at my people and say, we need to reassess what we think gives us hope. And using the same vacation metaphor, I sit there and I look at Instagram. I don't, but theoretically, you're online and you're hoping for your vacation. You're imagining yourself in it, and we sit there and we're like, this is going to make me happy. I get to live for this.
Yeah.
And so they're reassessing that. Asking yourself difficult questions like, hey, what happens if this fails, right? What happens afterwards when it expires? What happens, and is this really going to give me hope that lasts that God wants for me? And those kind of reassessing the value, the death of these things, the fears that we have around the things that we hope in. Was just helpful for me. I know helpful for my wife, and changing my thinking. Like I found myself on Tuesday talking about the next vacation again, and that really is my thing.
Yeah.
And I have to change my thinking.
Sure.
Intentionally on those things. So reassessing.
Yeah.
And then we talked about the pursuit, because as we seek the kingdom, it increases our anticipation of the kingdom.
That's good. Press into that for a moment.
Okay. So I'll continue with the illustration.
Well, I only say press in because I feel like that is one of those unfamiliar paradigms as well.
Yeah.
Where we pursue something because it's worth pursuing.
Right.
And while that's true of the kingdom, there's also an element of as we pursue, like our desire for it increases more.
Yeah.
Right.
And once again, that's not true of other things most of the time, other things we pursue let us down a little bit more than we pursue them.
Right.
Well, so Jesus calls us to this. He says, store up your treasures in heaven, man.
That's right.
Right. And so I'll use the same metaphor for vacation. I'll sit there and what am I going to do in this city? What are my little excursions, my little adventures? You start booking tickets, you start, packing, and all that increases our anticipation. All of that increases our hope in this thing delivering.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do that for being with the Lord in eternity. For heaven, and so as I'm serving here, as I'm living on mission here, as I am preaching the gospel here, that increases my anticipation for heaven. Right, as I'm ministering to people and caring for loved ones, as we live this life, and people that we know and love in the church, they grow in the Lord, and we're rewarded, are storing up rewards there.
That's good.
People that we love and know in the Lord and have ministered to, brought to Christ, are dying and going to heaven. That's like, we're getting there. That's increasing our anticipation of, as we're watching brothers and sisters in Christ, on their hospital beds and COVID and all those things. Man, all that increases my anticipation and my hope in heaven, and just lowers everything else to like, oh yeah, that was fun, but that's not my life. That's not what I'm trusting in.
Got it.
So reassess, pursue, and then celebrate. We said it, to build an altar of remembrance for like the Lord being faithful here, and all those little stories that we all have, but are easy to forget when there's a shelter at home order.
Sure.
And so my wife does this really well. She journals. And so she'll go back and be like, Brent, do you see, instead of the a year flashback on Facebook, it's like, look what we were praying for.
That's
last
good.
year.
Wow, come on.
Yeah.
And look how God fulfilled this. And she'll always bring these things together for me while we're sitting there reading the Bible on a Wednesday morning. And it's just like fantastic to see that, because my heart has a hard time focusing on those things, and it's easy to get distracted by the suffering.
Well, that's a really important point to bring up, the celebrating thing, because the very nature of hope is that something is not here yet. So, even Paul in Romans 8, we wait for it with patience because it's not here yet.
Right.
But there's like a remembering element to hope.
Yeah.
And there's like something about that is really important.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so huge.
You know what's funny? I thinking about Philippians, the end of Philippians 2, coming into 3, Paul's talking about sending Timothy and Epaphroditus to them, right? Paul's in prison. He's not with them. And it's interesting that you guys just made me think of this, that he talks about the longing that Epaphroditus has had, how he's been distressed, right? And he was ill, and he's been suffering. There's sorrow upon sorrow, he says. And then he goes and he essentially calls the Philippians to rejoice in the Lord. And I think that there's that tension that is connected. Just so it's like inextricably tied. Here it is, you're suffering. You got someone who is emptying himself in this life, all kinds of disappointments. He himself is comforted by the fact that you all have concern for him after you've heard that he's been ill. And so then he turns and he says, so feel sorry for him. Yeah. No, he says rejoice. That's right. Good. That celebration piece is so crucial. And it just, I don't know, it's like as Paul turns the dime on all of the letters, you just have that over and over. In Colossians 3, he turns it practical and he says, if then you've been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. And so it's this like, don't have a myopic perspective. Don't put all your hope here. Don't pursue these things. Instead, look to heaven. Now, have we been there? Yeah. Right? The things that are above. Have I ever been above? No. I mean, I've only lived here, and I've only lived as a fallen person here. But he tells me to do it. And so I think that's a practical way to do it. Sometimes you hear rejoice, or you hear seek the things that are above. And it's like, okay, how do I do that? Well, everything that we just talked about, right? Celebration specifically and rejoicing, I think is good and helpful for how we get our minds off of this world and onto the next.
That's good.
You know, I'm sitting here. So just a bit more context for anyone listening to this. So like Brent, taught all three churches. And so we're like, oh, what are we going to talk? Brent did all the heavy lifting this week, right? And so what are we bringing to the table? And Steve was like, hey, why don't we all, like in light of what Brent was talking about, come in with a few different ways, like really practically, really pastorally, we would encourage our people to grow in hope. So you walked through some of that with your people on Sunday, and you were even bringing us into that with the reassess, pursue, celebrate. And then I came up with a few that I was thinking about in light of your sermon. And I think what I'm astounded by in this, I'm just staring here down at my notes, and I'm like, how my three parallel your three so well.
That's good.
All right, so check this out. So you said reassess, right? Really evaluate what we're looking for, what's making us happy, all of that. My first one was like slow down. Don't be anxious about anything. Be present. And then literally part of slowing down is like thinking about where we are putting our hopes or our happiness, or our desires, and to be present with those around us, with God that is here with us. My second one was generosity. Right. One of the ways we can grow our hope is by being generous. So Jesus has that line, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Yeah. So that's pursue, right? So that's like actively throwing our eggs in that basket, saying like, the more I give to kingdom initiatives, whether it be the local church, mission, missionaries, whatever, the more I'm like generous with my time, my talent, my treasure, I'm actually like throwing more of my heart in with the kingdom of God. And it's like making me love the things more.
Love it.
I'm always astounded by the people, and I'll say that we've seen this true in our church, but I'm sure this is probably common in many other churches, is like the people who are most critical of the church are the people who are contributing the least.
Sadly.
And the people who are, and not to say that the people who contribute financially with their time or whatever aren't critical, but that criticism looks different. It's more of like, I'm in it to help.
I've seen
and that. The people who are not contributing usually just like lobbing things.
I've seen that in my own heart.
Yeah.
Like legitimately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I'm receiving and consuming, right? Yeah. And just blowing through all of everything that this provides and gives to me.
Yeah.
Right. Then I can tear it all apart. Yeah. When I'm participating and partnering.
Yeah, you got a stake in it.
Oh, it's different. It's totally different.
It's so practical too. Remember before you had kids of your own?
Yeah.
How you'd look at other parents and you'd be like, oh, come on.
No, I don't remember that. But I was a kid. I was a kid before I had kids of my own, so I don't remember that. It's all life. But we got some things, man. Yeah. We stopped buying diapers in October.
Ooh.
During COVID.
Come on.
You know how big of a deal that is? Listen,
deal.
Bro. We have been buying diapers every week since June 2005. And we had only had a break.
That's when I graduated high school.
I'm just saying, we had only had a break for like 1 year between 2001 and 2005 with our oldest and our second. So really for 19 years straight, but definitely 15 years nonstop. So anyway, I'm just saying,
where's the
my hope's not in that.
landfill?
Hey, my hope's not in. Dang. I'm sorry, man. I've totally put some.
Those are cloth diapers, right? You're treating the environment well.
Yeah.
Because when you've got that many kids, you're just going to sit there and do that whole
Anyway, I got us off track.
What was your point anyway? Because we were all making good points.
I just don't remember the kids. I don't remember not doing what I
Yeah, before we had kids, we all had like, oh, this is so easy. But once you're like, you got them and they're your investment, you're not only like in it and you're looking forward to much more, you're invested in it. It's your mess.
Yeah.
Word. That's right.
Yeah, that's easy. Really good. And that's true. The kingdom at large and this big C church kind of huge way. And also the local church.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not to say all your problems go away, but it's like you have a stake in the game and you're like, I want to actually see this thrive and succeed because I know Jesus is in it and I know my heart's in it now.
That's good, yo.
Yeah. So you realize it's more messy, but you're more motivated to jump into the mess because you can see this future that you're working towards, and that's all. It's great stuff.
All right, so if you're complacent and bitter at your local church, give more and see what happens.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
There we go. Practical.
100%.
Practical.
All right, so we said I would come in and say, okay, we need to slow down and actually be present and evaluate where we're at. Generosity was my second. My third was gratitude. So you were saying celebration. I was saying gratitude. Wow. So being thankful for what God has done motivates our hope that he'll fulfill those promises in the future.
That's good.
That's fantastic.
So we remember, we are thankful. We have these maybe gratitude rituals where we're saying, man, look at what God, Facebook feed, whatever, a year ago, man, look what we're praying for last year. Or even the daily rhythms. Like, what are we thankful for today? It helps us be more hopeful and not hopeful. And like we talked about week one, this abstract, rosy colored, optimistic way, but actually hopeful and like, no, he's delivered before and I know he's going to deliver again.
That's good.
So good. So couple thoughts.
Yeah.
How amazing that the unity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's the same. We didn't plan that. We didn't coordinate. We didn't call.
Two of us did homework.
Stop it. I gave you the homework. You just put me all the way on blast. That's all right. I put it on our website, right? We try to do reflection and response after each sermon. And so listening to yours, one of the things, the first reflection question that I offered to our people was, what are some practical ways you can think of that will help you gain a clearer vision of the future promise to us so that it affects your present walk with Jesus?
That's good.
Because that's our definition, right? Isn't our definition is the present life lived, remembering God's faithful past, right? With confidence in God's promised future. So
that's so cool.
That's really good.
Yeah. Unity across the board. Like the Holy Spirit does that. Yeah. And yet the differences and the little details in the way you say it and the way I say it is just like, praise the Lord for that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's not a matter of better or worse. It's like the Lord using a shepherd with his congregation to speak to. It's the Lord's voice through a person. Yeah. And the details change a little bit, but it's so good. It's so much fun.
I'm thinking about Jesus says, seek the kingdom. Everything we just talked about is how to seek the kingdom. How do I actually do that? Yeah. And Paul says, seek the things that are above. At the end of the day, right, we're being called to that Hebrews 12.
Yep.
Right.
Fix your eyes on Jesus.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Which really comes after Hebrews 11. The hall of faith at the beginning is glorious.
Yeah, right.
Toward the end, they've been sawn in two. They lost their places. Yeah. They've been killed, crucified, right? Yeah. It's like the way it talks to us toward the end of Hebrews 11, the hall of faith is, there's been people who've gone before you who've suffered crazy. And then he turns the page and says in Hebrews 12 that, so then therefore you need to let go all the things that so easily entangle you here and fix your eyes on Jesus. How do you fix your eyes on Jesus? Well, I think 10, 20 times more about the coming future than I do about what's going on in the here and now. And when I'm able to do that, then the future dictates what I do with my money, what I do with my time, how much I will spend, in anxiety about whatever it is. Right. I essentially allow my affection there to be stirring what I'm going to do with the here and the now.
That's the detangling process.
Dude, that is true hope. And you only learn it through suffering. Yeah. Suffering well, though. perseverance, endurance, those things that grow, give us character. Romans 5, that gives us the real avenue into experiencing true biblical hope.
Yeah. It's good. Well, that was a good distinction. We don't have time for a whole nother sermon, but
I know,
like a whole chapter's worth of 1 Peter is like, don't suffer for being stupid.
That's right.
You suffer for the right reason.
You got it.
You shouldn't have just put me up there. You should have preached.
I'm preaching this week at your church, baby.
All right, so we're all coming together Sunday in a field, outside.
That's going to be fun.
For those of you worried, there's plenty of space to social distance, physical distance, all of that. But you're preaching to all 3 of our churches.
Yeah.
Give us like a teaser. Where are you taking us?
Hope fulfilled. What is the fulfillment of hope? How can I experience what hope is? Like, we've defined it. We're talking now about how it grows, but like, what is the actual fulfillment? Right? And what am I after? What am I aiming for? I think another paradigm shift. When I look into the birth story, the incarnation of Christ, and those who celebrated it and those who came around it and were excited about it, their attitudes were a little bit different than what we sometimes consider to be a get out of hell free card.
Right.
Where it's just about my rescue.
Yeah.
So I mean, their attitudes were total surrender, you know? So, I mean, that's just a teaser, like you said. I think that the word will transform our perspectives yet again and help us to see what the true fulfillment of our hope is. So I'm looking forward to it.
So the real question is, we've seen Steve outdoors at Kellogg Park at sub 20 minutes.
Oof.
Can we look forward to that on Sunday?
Hey, Hunter. Hunter said, hey, you got 45 minutes. I was like, I only need 30 minutes. He said,
oh, really?
I was like, I said, yo, look, we don't want to be out there for that long. And he's like, no, you got 45 minutes. I said, 30 minutes. Then he started saying, oh, Tim Keller said he goes 30 minutes because he's been preaching for 30 years. So you got Tim Keller, huh? I said, no, it ain't that. I'm just going to have to cut a whole lot. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Sunday will be fun. You're teaching all 3 of our churches together, sharing the worship, sharing the greeting.
Hey, drop the address. 96 McMillan is essentially where we'll be. We'll be outside. You turn off of Main Street onto McMillan, and we'll be out there in front, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going in the back, front? Where we at?
Front.
Okay,
front. Want to be out there.
Wear your mask.
Front field,
Mask and mingle. You know, everybody stay, socially distanced and whatnot. But what a privilege it is that we even, I know our people will really be grateful for a place to gather. So it's going to be a big celebration and big fun.
And this is going to be your gathering point because you guys.
Yeah, we do these big Sundays once a month. So this is our big Sunday.
How fun.
Yeah, this will be cool.
What a great celebration.
We're really pumped about it. That's Sunday. I'm excited. Yeah. And then we're going to come back together for one more of these, right? And grill Steve.
Right. And
that's the plan.
But we're also preparing a Christmas Eve devotional for all of our families together. Yeah,
exactly. So the 3 of us, we're putting our heads together because we're not meeting Christmas Eve as we usually do. We're taking this Sunday. That's kind of that Christmas service. And we're gifting our people some time with family. It's time to be home, be wherever they need to be. But we want to encourage them, equip them in this like Christmas season. So we're going to come at you with something. It's going to be good.
Yep.
That's a great way of saying we have no idea what it's going to
be. Hey, today is good. We're literally like a week out, right?
And it's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
God's with us. Yeah. It's wonderful, man.
It'll be really good. But we'll be coming to you in your house. We'll be coming to you guys in your house. It'll be sweet. Yeah. We're pumped for it.
Dude, we're running and shooting on everything. A few weeks ago, we heard from a CHP officer that they could get us on the waiting list for chips for kids next year.
Oh, that's cool.
And it'd be wonderful. And we were like, that's great, right? And he called us and said, can you get down here Monday morning? I got a few hundred toys and we'll load you up. And I'm like, what? And so we got that. And then just before we got on
so that's for a toy drive, right?
Yeah. So
tell us about what's going on with that.
Dude, we're making it up right now. Okay. So I'm telling you, there's gonna be a drive-through, drive-in.
You got toys.
We called some people. We always say we don't want to reinvent anything who's already serving the community on the avenue. So we got in contact with the community director at the Bell Arts Factory. Good. She's establishing for us to do a drive-in toy drive. She's like, we'll bring tables out, we'll cone it off, we'll get the number, get it announced or whatnot. So Monday morning, we know that at 8:30 we're going to start distribution, and we've got toys.
The 21st.
Yep, that's it. So the day after our joint deal at the Bell Arts Factory.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And so
So we'll get you more details on Sunday.
Beyond here and there, like there's toys everywhere. There's a couple bikes. There's some balls. We're going to wrap some of it. We're going to not wrap others. And we're figuring all that out. So my wife, Jamie, is spearheading all of this between here and Sunday to get it all done with some volunteers from our local church. If any of your folks want to throw hands in, I know probably Friday afternoon and Saturday, we'll definitely be able to use some help.
That's great. Just come on Monday and be Santa Claus for Jesus and give out toys.
You should cut that. Actually,
why is it what I say?
It's just you just set yourself up so good.
I know. Oh,
be Santa Claus for Jesus.
All right. So that's it. Let's call it. Let's call it.
I do it on purpose.
Now that Brent shot himself in the foot, let's end this thing. And we'll be back for one more of these episodes. Hope it's been good. Hope you've been enjoying it. We love you guys. We're stoked to see you Sunday. It's going to be a great day.
Have a good one. See you there.
Cheers.